Now that the board is ready for glassing, it's time to laminate the bottom. Before you laminate, you want to make sure that you get all of the dust, any particles on there, because that's going to affect the adhesion of the glass to the foam. And what you don't want to do is you don't want to take this little tip and dig it into the foam, because I've done that before and it sucks. Now we're going to take this board over to the laminating room, and really, if you're doing it by yourself in a garage, the only thing that's really different is you're going to need some different racks so that when you're wrapping the board, you can wrap it all the way around the rails. You want to put some tape on them, it's very common, so that the board doesn't move. The tape is upside down. You put it down one roll normal, and then you flip it and you do it upside down so it's sticky. That way you can really press down on the nose and press down on the tail without it coming up. This is more than you need. You typically only need about an inch overlay, I would say. Once you lay it out over, then you want to smooth it out, because then when you're glassing, you're not going to have these wrinkles in the cloth. And you want to do this before you cut it. So 4 ounce is pretty much the standard for a shortboard. 1 layer of 4 ounce on the bottom, 2 on the top. Pretty standard. A longboard, you're going to do that with 6 ounce. Doing the lap, further down you cut it, the stronger and heavier it's going to be. The higher up you cut it, the lighter and less strong it's going to be. A good thing is between 1/2 inch to 1 inch past the apex of the rail. It'll overlap, so the rail is going to get overlapped. Bottom laminate is going to come to about maybe here, and then the top laminate, 1 layer, is going to come to about here. And I'm right-handed, I like to cut this way. I like to use the electric cutters here. It has a little gauge on there, you can kind of see that is really easy for cutting it really straight. If I'm using just freehand with scissors, I just have to go a lot slower to cut a straight line. A lot of different glassers have their own method for where to cut to make it wrap easier. This is what I found that I really like. This is something you can do different. This is just the way I like to do it. I like to put down that one and then wrap the other 2 around it. I found it's really strong and it's clean when it comes out. This is for 5 gallons, but we just took 1/5 by weight out of this, and we mixed it with this laminating resin. The first one was a UV catalyst, so that means that I'll be able to put it in the sun and allow it to cure. I like to use these squeegees. You can buy them at Home Depot, anywhere. Typically, a lot of people will use a squeegee like this for polyester resin. It's a little bit more flexible, but I'm used to these ones. This step, you're definitely going to want to wear your respirator. Filters out the organic compounds. I'm just going to pour it in this cup. So this is all UV catalysts. We didn't put any of the chemical catalysts, the MEK or whatever, so that way I have to put it in the sun for it to cure. Otherwise it'll just stay wet. The other thing too is that this laminating right here is done a little bit slower to save a little bit of resin. If you do more resin, you can go faster and just wet out the rails really easy. I mean, the rails are really the only tricky part here. You could give anyone a squeegee and some resin and laminate a flat surface really easily. The rails are really, wetting out the rails and then wrapping the rails is really the only thing. So here, yeah, we're doing it a little bit slower because we're saving the extra resin. If we were using catalyst, we wouldn't be able to save it, and then all the stuff I mixed would just be wasted. So we would just put as much as we need on there in one shot, up and down, and wet out the rails, and then wrap the rails, and that would be it. Epoxy, it's more expensive, so that's why I'll catch it and try and save as much as I can. Most people, when they do polyester, they won't catch whatever falls off. They'll just bam, do it all in one shot, and whatever drips off is just considered waste. The wrapping, you start from the middle and work your way out. So for the nose, I like to do the straight part first. This doesn't have enough resin on it. You can see it's not really sticking enough. There's really a balance between too much resin and not enough resin. When you need enough for it to stick, but the more you go, the heavier it's going to be. So the less you do, the lighter it's going to be. You just got to make sure that it's all wetted out. The problem is that if you have any dry patches in there, you'll see them on the top side, because right now you're doing the bottom, but you're wrapping the rail, so the rail will have these dry patches, and when you sand, you'll have to sand it, and then before you do the top lamination, it's kind of a pain. That tail's pretty wide. I like to clean it with the excess cloth. Try and keep as many chemicals out of it as I can. A lot of people just use acetone or ethanol. Because we put the UV catalyst in there, we have to put it out in the sun to dry. I let it dry for about 10 minutes, move it around. You got to make sure that the rails and the laps get dry as well. So once the bottom is really nice and dry, flip it over.